The fire alarm did not scream. The bell tower did. At exactly midnight, the old iron bell above Jefferson Academy began to ring by itself. The sound was not smooth. It was broken and angry, like metal screaming underwater. Every ring shook dust from the ceiling. Lights flashed on and off in the empty halls. Emma stood in the middle of the main hallway, her phone shaking in her hand as she filmed. "Okay," she whispered into the camera, trying to keep her voice steady. "My name is Emma Carter. This is Jefferson Academy in Boston. It's the oldest school in America. And right now, all 3 of the top real paranormal incidents are happening at the same time." The first ring came again. Boom. Up above her, the bell tower windows were dark, but something moved inside, like a shadow with a face. Emma swallowed hard. "That's incident 1," she whispered. "The bell that rings for the dead." Behind her, in room 101, the lights suddenly snapped on. The classroom had been empty all day. No teacher. No kids. But now the chalkboard inside began to write by itself. White chalk slid across the green board with a slow, squeaking sound. Emma turned her camera toward the open door. Scratch. Letters formed. 1. By. 1. D. O. N. T. S. T. A. Y. "That's incident 2, Emma said, her voice shaking. "The classroom that writes back." She did not want to turn around. She already knew what she was going to see, but she forced herself anyway. The hallway behind her stretched long and empty, but the doors to the basement stairwell were wide open. A cold wind blew up from the dark below, even though it was summer. From down there came the slow sound of footsteps. One step. Then another. Then another. Too heavy to be a child. Too slow to be a teacher. Thump. 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 "That's incident 3, Emma whispered. "The thing that walks the basement after midnight." Her phone shook harder. "Whoever finds this video," she said, "if we don't make it out, just know." A new line of chalk scraped itself onto the board behind her. "This time it sees you." Emma froze. She turned, heart pounding, and in the reflection of the classroom window, she saw something step out of the dark basement door behind her, tall and wrong-shaped, reaching. The lights blew out. Everything went black. Hours earlier, Emma thought her biggest problem was starting at a new school. It was her first day at Jefferson Academy, the oldest school in America. It had been built when people still used candles instead of light bulbs, and some of the bricks were almost 300 years old. The building took up a whole city block, with tall windows, a stone bell tower, and wide creaky wooden floors that smelled like old books and cleaning spray. Her mom parked the car by the curb. Kids hurried past in backpacks and hoodies, laughing and shouting. Emma held her notebook to her chest and stared up at the school. It felt like the building was staring back. "You okay?" her mom asked. "Yeah," Emma lied. "It's just big." "You'll make friends," her mom said. "You always do." Inside, the halls were crowded and noisy. A banner said, "Welcome to another year at Jefferson Academy, EST 1720. Emma found her homeroom, room 203. A boy with curly hair and freckles sat in the desk next to her. "I'm Noah," he said. "You're new, right?" "Emma," she said. "Yeah. Just moved here." Noah leaned closer like he was sharing a secret. "Have they told you about the top 3 yet?" "The what?" "The top 3 real paranormal incidents in America's oldest school," Noah whispered. "This place. Jefferson. My grandma went here. She said it's all real." Emma rolled her eyes a little, but her skin felt prickly. "Sure. Ghost stuff. Every old school has stories." Noah shook his head. "Not stories. Incidents. You can look them up." At lunch, he pulled out his phone and showed her an old article with a grainy black and white picture of the bell tower. The headline read, "Unexplained bell ringing at historic school. No one in tower says staff." There's more, Noah said. The classroom where the board writes by itself. And the basement thing. People don't like to talk about that one. Do you believe it? Emma asked. Noah hesitated. I didn't, he said. Until last year. When the bell rang for a kid who wasn't. He stopped. Never mind. The rest of the school day was normal. Math. English. Science. Teachers talking too fast. Kids tapping pencils. The old floors squeaked. The vents rattled. Sometimes Emma thought she heard whispering, but it was just kids passing by. By last period, it didn't feel scary. Just old. Then the power went out. All the lights flicked off at the same time. The classroom gasped. Someone laughed. The teacher said, Everyone stay seated. It's probably just a fuse. From outside, way above their heads, a single clear bell note rang through the dark. Boom. Emma and Noah looked at each other. Tell me that was the fire alarm, Emma whispered. It wasn't, Noah said. The fire alarm is a siren. The bell rang again. Boom. The room went silent. No one moved. Dust floated in the faint light from the windows. Noah's voice was barely a breath. Emma, the bell only rings at midnight. Emma checked the clock. It was 2:17 in the afternoon. The bell rang a third time, louder, shaking the glass. Boom. Outside the door, something heavy started walking down the hallway toward their room. The sound outside the classroom door grew heavier, slower, and closer, like someone dragging boots made of stone across the floor. Every step echoed through the dark hallway. The whole class sat frozen, listening. Even the kids who always joked around were silent now. Emma felt her heartbeat in her ears. She glanced at Noah. His face looked pale in the dim window light. Don't move, he whispered. The teacher tried to stay calm, but her voice broke a little. Everyone stay seated. I'm sure it's just a custodian. Thump. 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 The steps stopped right outside the classroom door. No one breathed. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the door handle slowly began to turn. The teacher gasped. Who's there? The handle stopped moving. The thing outside seemed to be listening. Emma's hands grew cold. The old stories Noah had told her at lunch came rushing back. The thing that walks the basement after midnight. But it wasn't midnight. It wasn't anywhere close. Something scraped against the door. A long, slow drag of something hard against wood. Then, just as suddenly, the footsteps walked away, moving back down the hallway, fading into the dark. Thump. 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 When the last step disappeared, the teacher finally spoke, her voice trembling. Everyone stay calm. I'm going to check the hallway. No, Noah whispered. Don't. But she was already opening the door. The hallway outside was empty. That didn't make anyone feel better. The lights were still out, and the shadows looked too deep, like the building was holding its breath. The teacher stepped fully into the hall, and the classroom behind her gasped, because the chalkboard began writing again. By itself. Chalk lifted from the tray and scratched across the board in sharp, jerky strokes. D. I. D. Y. O. U. H. E. A. R. I. T. Emma clapped her hand over her mouth. Noah whispered, This is just like the story, the board only writes when something's watching. The teacher turned around, saw the message, and dropped the hall pass she was holding. Everyone, she said shakily, we're going to the gym. That's the safest place. Grab your backpacks. Now. The class hurried into the hallway. Some kids were crying, others asking questions, but no one really understood what was going on. Except Noah. And maybe Emma. As they walked quickly through the hall, Noah leaned close. This is exactly what happened 5 years ago, he whispered. The bell rang at the wrong time. The board warned people. And then, someone went missing. Emma swallowed hard. Do you think it's happening again? Noah didn't answer. The group moved through the old corridor, their footsteps echoing off the wooden floor. As they passed room 101, the haunted classroom from the stories, Emma noticed something strange. The door to room 101 was wide open. The lights were flickering. And inside, every single desk had been turned to face the corner like someone had punished the whole class. Emma looked away quickly. They kept walking, moving toward the gym. The building creaked and groaned around them, like it was alive and shifting. Students whispered. Teachers tried to look brave. They reached the big double doors of the gym. And stopped. Because the doors were locked. Both of them. The teacher rattled the handles. Impossible. They shouldn't lock from the outside. Noah whispered. Last time, the gym was sealed too. The hallway lights flickered and buzzed overhead. For a moment, they came back on bright. And everyone screamed. Down the hall, near the basement door, stood a tall shadow. Not shaped like a person. Longer arms. A head that tilted like it was broken. A body that didn't move like it had bones. The lights flickered again. And the shadow was suddenly closer. Emma grabbed Noah's arm. Run! The whole class bolted back down the hall. Kids pushed. Backpacks swung. Shoes squeaked. The lights went off again, leaving everything in darkness. Emma heard the heavy steps behind them. Faster this time. Chasing. Her legs burned as she ran. She didn't know where she was going, just away from the basement, away from the shadow, away from whatever had been ringing the bell. The group rushed into the library. The teacher slammed the door and pushed a chair under the handle. It wasn't much, but it was something. Everyone panted. Some kids sobbed. Emma tried to calm her breathing, but something on the far side of the library made her freeze. The old card catalog drawers were sliding open, one by one, in a perfect line. Creak, creak, creak. Noah whispered. Emma, I don't think it's outside anymore. The final drawer slammed shut on its own. Books fell from the shelves. Dust rose in the air. And then, from the very back of the dark library, a voice whispered. Not loud, but close enough for every kid to hear. I see you. Emma snapped her head toward the sound. Just in time to see something move quickly between the shelves. Something tall. Something wrong. Something that should not be able to climb the bookshelf but was climbing anyway. And just as it reached the top shelf, the whole wooden bookcase began to tip over, falling directly toward Emma and Noah. Everything slammed into motion. And the chapter ends here, at that exact moment. As the huge bookcase comes crashing down toward them. The bookshelf crashed toward Emma and Noah, but at the very last second, Noah grabbed her wrist and yanked her to the floor. The shelf hit the ground with a loud boom, sending dust everywhere and books sliding in every direction. Kids screamed and scattered between the aisles. Emma coughed, blinking through the dust. Noah, are you okay? I'm fine, he said, pulling her up. But we have to move. Now. Something shifted behind the fallen shelf. Slow. Heavy. Like whatever had climbed up was now crawling over the wreckage. The teacher tried to gather the students, whispering for everyone to stay low and stay quiet. But it was too late. The thing already knew they were there. A low scraping sound moved across the floor. Emma froze. The scraping wasn't random. It moved like fingers dragging along the wooden boards, searching. Emma, Noah whispered. It followed us from the hall. It wants something. But why us? She whispered. Before Noah could answer, the intercom crackled to life. Everyone jumped. The speakers hissed and buzzed, like someone was breathing too close to the microphone. Then a voice, cold, slow, and not human, whispered through every speaker in the library. Come. Back. Down. Stairs. Emma shook her head. It wants us to go to the basement. Noah's face tightened. That's where all three incidents connect. My grandma told me, everything the school sees, everything it remembers, it all stays down there. Another bookshelf shook, then toppled. Papers flew like snow. The kids screamed again, huddling together. Emma grabbed Noah's hand. "We can't stay here. If we do, it's going to knock over every shelf until it finds us." The teacher nodded shakily. "Emergency exit. Behind the history section." Everyone raced toward the back wall, weaving between tables and fallen books. Emma's legs shook with every step, but she kept going. Another bookshelf burst open behind them, this time not falling by accident, but pushed. The shadowy figure stepped into view for the first time, tall, thin, and flickering like it wasn't fully solid. Its arms stretched just a little too long. Its head tilted as if studying them. Emma's breath caught. The creature stepped forward, and the emergency door burst open. A blast of bright sunlight flooded the library. Someone from outside shouted, "Kids! This way!" The students ran out into the light, stumbling onto the grass. Emma turned back to look. But the doorway behind her had already gone dark, and the shadow inside the library was still watching her.